I never know how to open this because we don't have any sort of intro music. I guess I could just throw in some Toho music. Would everyone be okay if I just threw in some Toho music?
Yeah.
Whatever you want.
All right, here's some Cherno theme. Without further ado, hello everyone, and welcome to the second episode of the Weeb Roundup. We somehow managed to impress enough people to let the higher-ups let us have another episode, and I don't know how we did it.
We have 2 episodes coming. That's a lot. I've never been signed.
We have 1 episode coming because one's already out.
That's not true.
And like the last one I had to record, like, oh god, it's like I recorded it and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna edit this. This took me like a whole 5 days, and now I'm like, wait, I'm in the middle of moving. We've recorded late. I get maybe 2 days to get this episode out, but that's stress for future Nick and not the now Nick.
Yeah, that's not your problem right now. All you got to worry about is talking about anime.
I was about to say, you want to know what is my problem right now? The fact that it is the beginning of the spring season. Birds are coming back. The flowers are repollinating. Nature is healing. And many, many, many new shows are coming from the ether to be fed directly into my eyeballs and into my soul box. So yeah, there's a whole bunch of new anime, and I've been like looking over the Annie chart for like the past like few weeks, because this was actually what I wanted to open with originally when we started the show, but it occurred to me that maybe just jumping directly into this without like an intro episode was kind of a bad idea. So I was like, okay. And then as a result, I've kind of been looking over just like the shows that have been coming out for like the past 2 weeks, because this is like a weird season, but I feel like there's a lot of really good stuff coming out. So real quick here, before I start going down, the way that we kind of did this is all 3 of us made a list of shows that we were all interested in, and I basically made it a point to where after a little bit of deliberation, because we were about to share them with each other, and then Lana said, shut the fuck up, don't share it, let's just talk about it when we're recording. So while we were talking and kind of pitzing around, I was looking at the PVs for a couple of shows, and like one of the shows I was just looking at was RPG Fudol-san, and essentially I was like, the premise of it sounded really funny because it was RPG real estate, where it was just a bunch of...
Yeah, it was cute girls doing real estate.
Yeah, it was cute girls doing real estate.
Yeah!
We're breaking new ground and selling new ground. It's a buyer's market, baby. But I like took a look at the PV for that real quick, and I'm just like, this looks so designed by committee, so I'm not about this.
Yeah, like you're not even gonna give it a shot.
I might give it a shot, but that's one, like, I saw it immediately and I'm just like, this aesthetic does not feel conducive to me. However, to start with, the first show I legitimately want to talk about, because I saw the PV and I began going fucking insane, is fucking Birdie Wing.
Oh, dude, Birdie Wing
what's it
looks
about?
fantastic.
Okay, so from what I can tell, from the synopsis that I've read and the PV, because I've not done much more research than that, it is a golf anime about 2 women. One of them looks like panty and one of them looks like stocking.
Yeah.
And in the PV, it shows like, it's like one of those things where you're like, oh yeah, there's sports anime. And there are some golf shows, none of which I've actually seen. So I see this and I'm like, okay. I have been taught at this point that you can make any sport in anime look cool as fuck. And I see some of the shots in Birdie Wing and I'm just like, what the fuck? They have some of like the best looking smears. The animation is gorgeous. The color correction is fantastic. And I'm like, okay, no, this is really good. This is fucking gorgeous. It's dynamic. The music was really good. And then it hits a point. Where you get introduced to the first male character, who is this dude with a tan and brown hair. He begins talking, and I'm over here just like fucking That's Amuro Ray. That is the voice actor for fucking Amuro Ray. And like, I was like, oh, okay. They got Amuro's voice actor from, for those that don't know, Mobile Suit Gundam. And so I'm like, okay, yeah, okay, that's cool, I guess. And then they immediately go to the next character afterward, who is a blonde dude with a scar on his eye, who is voiced by Amuro Ray's arch nemesis, Char Aznable. And I'm over here like, this is Gundam, but it's golf. And like, the moment that happens, I begin screaming, losing my fucking mind, and I'm pretty sure Kai was a little bit confused for a second until I started yelling, "That's Char! That's Char!"
Yeah, I was just like, oh, so this is just like they just got a bunch of Gundam Seiyus and just like, all right, I'm gonna put you in this golf anime, see how that works.
They were literally just like, this ship is like age old since like I think like the 70s or 80s. It's like,
right.
Fuck it. We're gonna put these two old ass motherfuckers in this anime about two girls golfing, and I'm fucking about it. Let's go.
It's definitely a show that I'm looking forward to seeing. A lot of the animation, like you said, is very good, and the comp and everything. I just hope that if that's the standard they're setting, that they're going to stick with that, and we're not going to get, you know, really, really bad shots in between all these gorgeous ones.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's just going to detract from it immediately.
But yeah, Birdie Wing is, like, right now, I would say that that's the thing after watching a lot of the PVs. That's the thing that's got my attention. Not quite the most. I would say it's maybe number 2 or 3 for me right now in terms of the shit that I'm looking forward to the most. And like right now, there's also just like a really good sports shows this season. And we'll get back to that in a little bit because like there's some good shit going on here.
I don't know how I can follow up Gundam Golf. Truly, like yes. So one thing that I'm sorry, I dissociated. So please understand, my head's been in many places today.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I just can't believe we brought this back from the Great Ace Attorney live dub on a different channel.
It's really hard. It's really hard. Okay, sometimes I digress in my own head too far, and I lose myself in the darkness.
Okay, Riku.
But I can smell my way out. So. Yeah. I know. You joke, buddy. Okay, so one thing I liked about it was like the way that the bodies flowed made the kind of like realistic body types of the art style look very good. Like they didn't look like so there used to be like super realistic anime, like super trying to look like human animes, and sometimes I feel like some of those never aged very well, and this one just like they knew how to make it look like a body moving in action well. And
100%.
That's something that matters in golf, is like the way that you move when you're swinging. So like they obviously knew that golf fans would watch this and they want them to take away something from it.
You know what that's reminding me of actually? It's kind of reminding me of Yuri on Ice.
That is a good point. I think
I can see. Yeah.
I think Haikyuu is like an innovator of that kind of movement, honestly, like in the modern generation of anime.
Speaking of Haikyuu, oh my god, you just gave me the perfect segue, Lana. I'm taking this.
Sure.
Oh, it's time.
Okay. So. Production IG is they're known for a few things. They worked a little bit on that there Shingeki no Kyojin. They worked on a whole bunch of other shit. One of the things that they're really good at is sports anime. They're really, 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 really good at sports anime. Haikyuu is one of my favorite shows of all time, and Kuroko no Basket is like also a really, really fun time. They're really good at making those types of shows very, very kinetic. Like that's the best way I can describe Production IG as a studio, is they're very, very kinetic. And that carries over when I was watching the PV for Aoashi, which is a show about football, that they're soccer. And like, so I get like 5 seconds in, the kid's at the beach. He's watching his dad play soccer, and I'm like, this kid's totally a production IG sports anime protagonist. He is a small boy with poofy hair. He's just Hinata. And then all of a sudden, I remember watching the PV. You see his face get flushed with darkness slightly, and there's like hatching all over his fucking face. And I'm like, that's it! That's it! We got the production IG face shading! He's in the zone! He's serious! Let's fucking go! And they show you all this fucking Sakuga with them on the field just like kicking shit around, and I'm just like, oh my god! And like, I was like, yo, I was hearing the music too, and I'm like, oh, yo, this is Yuki Hayashi. And then it wasn't Yuki Hayashi. It was Masaru Yokoyama. He did the music for Mobile Suit Gundam Iron-Blooded Orphans. And that is a soundtrack built on like a lot of violin and like Spanish guitar and like a whole bunch of like really interesting sounds. And I'm just like, oh my god. If there's one thing that a lot of production IG shows are built on, it is incredibly good sound in terms of both soundtrack and sound design. And like, I was hearing that music, I was seeing all of these visual tricks that they were doing in the Awashi trailer, and I'm like, I'm so excited for this show. That's definitely like the number 2 show for me of I need this in my fucking blood. Oh,
it's definitely going to be a hype show because, like me, I don't watch a lot of sports anime, so this is definitely one that I'm looking forward to for the sake of like it looks really cool. It looks like it's going to be a nice premise. Like I'm excited.
Oh, and then let me see here. Is it time?
I mean,
do I
is
bitch?
there?
I
was gonna say, you want to just talk about the last quote unquote sports thing we have? Dance Dancer.
I mean, we have 2 in that case.
Oh wait, we did. Oh, 2.
There's 4 sports shows this season.
If we're gonna talk about sports anime, we should talk about how Vince McMahon punted a ball into a guy to win a match last night.
Wait, he did?
Okay, so
Really?
he was wrestling against a sports commentator that's been a commentator for WWE lately.
Yes.
I think Pat McAfee, who's been like really good. Like we finally got a good commentator again because everyone else has been like Flanderized to hell.
Wait, Flanderized is in like Ned Flanders?
Yeah. Like yeah. Like
so they're like too polite.
No, like, so you know how like Ned Flanders was originally just kind of a one kind of gimmick, and like Homer didn't like him, a la Dinkelberg kind of deal.
Yeah, he didn't like him because he was like.
And then eventually, every single time Ned Flanders would show up, he'd be like, "Great googly moogly on God!" Like it's that's a Flanderization. He's suddenly like he's more of that one specific trope that he represented that one time. It's like that one girl in Parks and Rec eating waffles.
Oh, okay, I get you.
Yeah, so a lot of them suffer. Like they suffer from that, not as much. Like as much as all the other people who have been commentating for WWE for years. So now they have catchphrases, and if they don't hit the note on this thing that's really corny, they're not doing their job. You know, and Vince beat this guy up and he cheated to win, and then Stone Cold Steve Austin came out and, you know, hit him, and Vince did the very worst sell for the Stone Cold Stunner ever because he's like a 10 million year old man. So he's infamous for fucking this up when he wasn't a 10 million year old man. So now he's just worse. Just worse.
Oh, no.
If it could get worse. And then the good guy Pat McAfee got up and he drank beers with Stone Cold, and then he celebrated. And then he stunned the guy, or then Stone Cold stunned the guy anyway because he's drank a grand total of this weekend about 38 beers, and Beer Heaven sent him about 55 of those. He dropped a couple, and whenever he drops one, Beer Heaven apologizes and sends Stone Cold another beer. But then, and then he got 2 for the road, and then there was like this shot that they just cut to in the middle of Stone Cold walking up the ramp. Halfway through Stone Cold walking up the ramp, they cut to the shot of Pat McAfee on the ground after taking the stunner, just slowly pouring one of the broken beer cans on his face and down his throat. Like they just cut to him doing that, and he's just like, like dying from being hit by one of the strongest finishing moves in wrestling, and also drinking a beer on the ground outside the ring. And then they go back to Stone Cold, and he's hitting stuff because he's probably hammered at this point.
Oh my god.
He's drank so many beers
boy.
this weekend. He drank 8 beers in his first match back since WrestleMania 19. Which was also not that bad. But yeah, so that's a sports anime quote because
Yeah,
Vince
sounds
McMahon
like a good time.
Yeah, it was honestly a great time. Our friend Emily was sitting in the Discord call with me while I screamed Stone Cold 17 times without stopping.
Oh my god.
I'll never get to do it again. I mean, like,
No, you gotta take your chances.
When Stone Cold came out for the interview on Saturday, I was like, wow, I've never been part of a what promo. Ever. That's like one of the most important things to a wrestler is saying what whenever they're annoyed by something because Stone Cold used to make us say it.
Damn.
Yeah. So I was like, wow, I'm part of a real what promo. I'm gonna do this one for, and Emily kept thinking that I was saying what to them. so that was really good.
Oh fuck.
So yeah, that's a sports anime thing because wrestling's just anime.
Wrestling
Oh,
is
yeah.
just redneck anime.
Is there's a wrestling anime? There has to be, right?
No, totally.
Yeah.
There totally is. There's Baki
Oh,
the
Tiger Mask
Grappler.
W.
There's fucking Kaniku Man.
I love that guy.
Love that guy.
Love that guy.
We should watch Kaniku Man for this show.
Kaniku. Basta.
Comment below if you've seen any episode of Kaniku Man. If we get 10 comments, we will talk about Kaniku Man for another 5 minutes.
If we get Kaniku Man, specifically 10 comments about Kaniku Man.
Yeah, we'll do it.
Specifically, it has to be about Kaniku Man. Ultimate Muscle does not count.
Ultimate Muscle does not count. You need to tell us who your favorite character is for Kaniku.
Oh fuck. But
Oh my God.
real quick, because I was just talking about Aoashi and how hype it was. So I guess we have 5 sports anime if we consider the entirety of the WWE and the fact that it is always ongoing.
Yeah.
So there's like a badminton anime called Love All Play. Get it? Love All. This is a badminton / tennis.
That's a
joke.
bad
Funny
Yu-Gi-Oh deck.
joke.
That's all-
Oh
that's
yeah,
all you
yeah,
said
it
to me.
is.
Molten convection wave is all I heard.
Oh my god. But I saw the PV for Love All Play with Kai, and like it looks like I have no idea what to think of it other than like it reminds me a bit of, I guess, Baby Steps. Like I'm going to give it a shot, but I don't remember anything from it that like stood out to me super hard in terms of like any sort of like Sakuga or like really, really cool shit, essentially. So I will wait and see. I will wait and see on that, but I'm optimistic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like my opinion on it, I'm just like I'm definitely going to give it a shot. I'm not saying like, oh yeah, it's just disinteresting to me. I have a feeling that they were keeping, if anything, it felt like a lot of the shots they were giving us were from the early episodes. They're probably going to use like the later episodes to be like, okay, now we have to like bring in the budget for our badminton anime. You need it. You need it.
Oh my god. Okay, so you just said budget, and now I have something that I want to scream about again.
Oh, I know. It's not actual budget, quote unquote, but you know what I mean.
No,
It's
not
the-
that. Not that. I'm talking about a show that looks really pretty.
Oh.
No, I'm not gonna soapbox. I can soapbox later. We have a point in the show tonight for soapboxing.
That's
and we'll
true.
Get to
That's
it.
true.
But, so Studio Mappa, pay your animators. However, they're making a show called Dance Dance Danceur. And, I saw the PV for this. And I am a fan of Yokuso no Borurume, which is another production IG show about ballroom dancing. And it's gorgeous. It's fucking fantastic. I cannot recommend it enough. So I see this going in with the expectation of, oh, this has got to be kind of like ballroom, right?
I mean, they've got the same long giraffe necks. It has to be.
Okay, yeah. So this show has fucking, what was his name? It's not Koichijo. It's Koichijo's best friend. What the fuck was that guy's name in Persona 4?
Daisuke something. I just kept saying to myself, dude, you gotta stop watching those balls. Yeah, like I just kept saying to myself over and over again. I can't. My balls are on fire. Like I kept going. This is the balls guy. That's the balls guy.
No, it's not the balls guy. It's the opposite of the balls.
Yeah,
guy.
it's his friend. Koichi's friend's name is Daisuke something.
Okay.
Daisuke something.
Well, you have long neck Daisuke something, and his partner in crime, long neck ballet dancing Yuna Rukami. And so I'm watching the PV for this. And I'm seeing like the most fucking elaborate choreography for these ridiculous looking ballet flips. And I'm just like, yo, they are going fucking in with this show, dude.
Daisuke Nagase.
Daisuke Nagase. Okay. That's
Good
this
guy.
This is the ballet partnership between Yuna Rukami and Daisuke. And fucking, oh my god, this show is so cool. I mean,
we need a buffer for the fact that we're still waiting on more Yuri on Ice.
Oh
we
my
need
god.
that buffer.
Oh god, who animated Yuri on Ice actually? Was that anyone?
Oh,
fuck.
I don't know off the top of my head.
Oh god, I'm a fake anime fan.
All I remember about Yuri on Ice was the last bit of it destroying me, laughing at some of the really weird, janky CG they would use, because what they would do, I don't know if you remember this, was they would animate the 3D body without the limbs moving, and then animate the limbs on top of it.
I mean, that
Try to
seems
match
smart
it?
to me. That seems smart to me.
It seems smart, but the way they did it was very, like, poor execution. That was the problem. Like, it was very noticeable that that's what they were doing, and it just didn't look right. Comparatively to, you know, some of the other animation in the show that was made with more time and care, and like it's part of the reason why like Yuri on Ice has some beautiful animation. I don't want to detract from that.
Oh no, it totally does. Like Yuri on Ice has like some of the best rotoscoping I have ever seen in anime. But real quick, just to get to conclude this topic, words are hard. Fucking Dance Dance Dancer, like. I was like, oh, this is a show about ballet. Okay. It's Studio Mappa. I'm really curious about this. And it's like, you know, I feel like there's a lot of people that it's like, oh, you tell them about like sports anime, or you tell them that like, oh, it's a ballet, it's an anime about ballet. And a lot of people will be like, man, I don't want to do it. Just please. This show is actually incredible looking. I'm so fucking excited. Just like watch the PV, watch the cool flips that they do. I just want to watch people do cool flips animated in like this 24 frames per second, animated on ones. That's all I want in life. I want a lot of things, but that in particular.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, but that, I need it. I fucking need Dance Dance Dancer. And then I think this is a show that's on everyone's list at this point. At least if I recall, I think this is on Lana's list. So Tomodachi game. Who likes
Tomodachi game.
Who likes Dingle Rumpus?
Not me.
I'm sorry. I'm not with you on that.
What do you want to talk about? I know everything. It's another one of those.
There's a difference. Lana knows about Danganronpa and doesn't like it. I know nothing about Danganronpa and I don't like it.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, everyone. My sincerest apologies, but there's going to be this running joke that will happen until the rest of time, where I am going to know everything about everything that I do know about, and I'm going to talk about how much I hate it because I know everything about it. It does not necessarily mean I hate it because it's a bad thing. Sometimes it is, though. So, like, I'm not gonna say anything.
I'm just gonna
never
say,
do. I promise.
I'm just gonna say I'm just happy that when I discovered Danganronpa, I didn't know what Tumblr was.
No, okay, so here's the deal.
Yeah?
I like it. Okay, I like the
Yeah.
first and the second game. I like all the characters in them, in fact. It's one of those things where I just hate the plot, but like I love everyone. It's how I was when halfway through Attack on Titan.
That makes sense.
Halfway through Attack on Titan, I was like, man, these people are doing it. They're going through it. I love this struggle, you know? And then And then we started to get to know some of the worst people, and then I started to not be a fan.
I'm sorry. I just shat my pants because I saw Kai give the most silent sneeze.
Wait, what? Did it not show up on?
It didn't show
Yeah,
up on
your audio did not catch it on Discord. So
All right.
I thought you just had like a push to talk, turn off mute button.
Same.
Okay.
Yeah, or you're one of those people who's like, I need to sneeze. Click. Like you can make it, you know. And I was like, that's epic.
Oh, I can absolutely make. I've got mute on a button. I could do that.
Oh, okay.
I was just like, nah, I'm gonna sneeze. I'm gonna sneeze. See how it goes.
And it was success. It was a successful sneeze.
Very successful sneeze. Congratulations.
Missed success. Anyway.
So yeah, no,
back to anime.
So I love Danganronpa. It's just there's I don't like what's going on. I even like Junko and Oshiba. I don't give a crap about like the Nagito Komaeda stuff, the like anything involving any of the characters. Period. I think they're all rad guys. Even the horrible people, I think they're rad horrible people. It's like you with Adachi.
Especially the horrible people.
Yeah, you love.
Especially the horrible people.
We weren't even hanging out when Danganronpa came out, and I knew I knew you liked Adachi, so I knew you'd like another character.
Oh my god.
So yeah, Tomodachi game is like that, right?
Tomodachi game, from the premise that I've seen, it is essentially 2 million yen has gone missing from a school trip. Essentially, they're trying to find out the culprit. And very likely, it is one person in a group of 5 friends. And they're essentially being dragged into like this game where I believe it is if they win, then all of that debt is repaid. But there's like a big thing where it's like, oh, you got to trust your friends. You got to trust your friends. And it's like this, it's like kind of kaiji-ish, kind of Squid Game-ish from what I've seen. Game-ish, gamey-ish. I don't fucking know. I've never actually watched Squid Game. I just know that it has a lot of that shit in it. But like, it has that same type of appeal as like Danganronpa, where it's like, oh, you have like this big like battle royale type of setting, but you have like this really dumb looking mascot character that's like also like presenting the entire thing and like gamifying it. And I'm like, okay, yeah, this looks cool. I will almost always fuck with battle royale style shows, essentially. Like almost every single time I will always fuck with it. And then I'm like watching the PV and I'm like, wow, this is really fucking good. And then the protagonist, like the protagonist looking dude, gets like this most shit-eating grin. He makes like the biggest like like shit-eating grin, and he's just like, so what color are your panties? And I'm over here.
Yeah, that's like, why did you have to end it on that, man?
You don't. I hate the fact that they ended the PV on that.
Come on.
Listen, there was a sexual harassment scene that they just mowed over in one of the newer Eva movies, and I was just like. And I was just like, whatever.
This is how
there are just some of those times where like when I watch any of this stuff that happens in anime, and I'm just like, I should be so mad right now, and I probably am. But now that
at this point you're just like,
I'm 3 hours in. I'm like 37,000 episodes in. If it never happens again, am I really hurt? Am I traumatized? Me personally, no.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's more just like, I'm tired, get it over with.
That's when I said out loud, like when I was watching these movies, because I loved these 4 movies. Some of the master class films. I said to myself and to my girlfriend who was showing them to me, I went, oh yeah, it's Neon Genesis Evangelion. It really is. How far can you suspend your disbelief when you're watching something, or the portrayal? Because sometimes there's shows where like they'll do something creepy like that, but the guy gets punished. The girl gets punished. The guy gets punished. The character gets punished. The people get punished. If someone gets their comeuppance, then it was part of a storyline. Or that's what the wrestling brain in me has always taught me. I always said out loud whenever we were at like a WrestleMania, like me and my friends were watching WrestleMania, I was like, okay, now here's the part where Vince's daughter goes through a table and we all cheer. And, like, this is a part where this woman who is nothing but like, she's a villain, so like that's her goal, is like to be a huge like bitch, like on screen, and she does it so well. She's such a good villain. But that's why I'm going to be watching WWE Evils this week. It's a documentary about the villains in wrestling history, commentated and produced by John Cena. So that's going to be really good. Yeah, it's going to be real good.
Okay, hang on. Is this commentated and produced by John Cena the person, John Cena the actor, John Cena the wrestler?
I think it's going to be John Cena the concept, which is an excellent version of John Cena.
Okay.
So John Cena, when he does things outside of wrestling that relate to wrestling, turns into like a phenomena of a person where he's Jimmy Fallon's John Cena, like the guy you saw in the interview about Peacemaker. He's not Peacemaker, but he isn't like babyface John Cena. He's more that John Cena that goes up to you and goes, "You've been wrestling for 15 years and this company still hasn't given you a title match." Like that John Cena, who's like, "I'm the face that runs the place and I was the head of this business. And yeah, maybe I did kiss Vince McMahon's ass every once in a while, even though I was supposed to be the happy good guy. But I'm actually going to beat the shit out of you." That John Cena. So it's modern John Cena.
Okay, that's interesting.
Unless I am 100% wrong, then it's Hollywood John Cena, which is whatever. All I ask is it's not 2008 to 2013 John Cena.
I'm losing my mind right now because there's as many versions of John Cena as there are Shiki Tono, and there's as many Shiki Tono versions as there are versions of Spider-Man.
Yeah,
that's true.
Fuck.
But listen, John Felix Anthony Cena Jr. is going to be the man that's commentating.
Oh my god.
Oh fuck.
So yeah, I think that the creative for it's going to be very good. But that's the point of a heel, is that they do something like just awful, and it builds heat, and then the audience is like, "Man, I'm gonna watch the next episode because I want to see this person get their ass kicked." The problem with WWE that they had for a little while was that they were going way too long on the heel getting heat with no comeuppance. And then people started to get, "Oh, it's WrestleMania." So people watched WrestleMania, see her go through a table, go, "Yes!" And then they watch like the next 2 pay-per-views without roulette because they're like fine with wrestling now.
Mm-hmm.
I just lost my mind for a second, like part way through that last bit, because my brain was like, "Wait, what were we? Tomodachi game."
We were talking about Tomodachi game, yeah.
I legitimately was like, "Wait."
No, I kept track of this entire tangent. I was going to come in and just be like, so anyway, Tomodachi game seems like a cool show. Seems like it's gonna be a good time. Anyway, moving on from Tomodachi game.
Yeah, we can move on now.
Yes.
Yeah. Out of the other shows what was the other show on your list, Lana?
From this season?
Yes.
Yeah.
Let me get it. Hold on. This list is short. I just pulled it up too. God, where did it go?
I thought it was Black Rock Shooter.
It is Black Rock Shooter. That is the other thing.
Okay.
There are other things. There are more than 2. I swear to God, there's more than 2. You gotta believe me. I was joking.
Did you see the April Fool's joke of the adaptation announcement of the Moral arc?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes. Yeah, I did. What about it? What do you want? I've seen more pictures and shots from Spy Family in the last couple of hours.
Yo, yes.
So I am interested, but that's my list right now for new animes. Remember, I still gotta watch fucking Demon Slayer completely.
That's true.
So please understand if I'm a little behind. I can talk about.
It's fine.
I can talk about fake anime if you guys want. We can talk about Hope.
Wait, what?
We can talk about We can talk about Homestuck.
Oh no! I know what you're gonna say.
I'm not allowed to say that sentence. We can talk about that out loud.
I haven't read it, so I can say the sentence.
forbidden.
I can say, "Hey there, would you like to talk about Homestuck?"
Yeah.
All right, but real quick, I just wanted to comment on Spy Family because I've been reading the manga now for about half a year at this point. I've taken a bit of a break.
How many chapters is there?
Oh god, I don't remember because I've taken a bit of a break from it because I always like to let monthly series kind of catch up because it's a monthly. So you always get really long chapters and then you get to go in. But essentially,
I wish I had that bravery, my guy. I can't do that with Ippo.
Oh, you see, I can do it with Spy Family, except now I probably won't be able to because there's an anime and people are going to go into the manga chapters now and spoil everything. And if you do that, fuck you. But essentially, Spy Family is it's so cozy. Literally, I was reading Spy Family. I got the Shonen Jump app to read more Spy Family because I got the first 2 volumes from my part-time roommate. I'm reading the first 2 volumes, like the first 2 Tankobon volumes. And you ever have one of those stories that you read where like while you're reading it, you realize that you've been smiling for the past 2 hours and you have not been able to stop smiling? That's what Spy Family does. It's so good. I fucking love Spy Family. And like I've been so hyped for this adaptation. I don't think I've been as hyped for like a Jump adaptation of something since ever. Like, I'm trying to remember anything in terms of Jump that has gotten me this excited in recent memory, and nothing comes to mind except for maybe when they announced the One Punch Man anime. But like in general, Spy Family is absolutely like my number 1 thing from this season. I'm so excited for it.
I really want to see how that goes because I've heard nothing but good things about Spy Family initially when the manga started coming out. And I know one person I'm never looking forward to just watching the show, but the dub specifically, I know a certain someone is manifesting to be the main character. I have my hopes for you, Mr. Brendan Blaber. I feel you. I want that role for you too, man. I mean, he makes good show with characters such as a Stink. Stink, my favorite character from Epithet Erase.
Shout outs to my boy, Giovanni Potage. Okay, but back on topic. We're not going to talk about my favorite anime, Epithet Erase, today.
Yeah, sadly not. Although, real quick, if you're watching this on the time this comes out, you're probably going to be able to see a little bit of a Beetlejuice cover that came out. So, hey, either pop on to Patreon if it's not up on YouTube yet, but if it is, then, hey, just watch that. My buddy Adam did the instrumental for that, so really excited to hear how that song comes out.
You want to know what I'm excited for, Kai?
And what's that?
I'm really, really excited to talk about Aharen-San.
Oh, Aharen-San. So the first episode of Aharen-San's already come out, and I've seen it. I'm assuming I know Nick's seen it.
I have seen it.
It is hilarious. I will say that I did not get the joke of the fact that the main characters are supposed to look boring and, like no emotion. I didn't realize that was the joke until like maybe 2 minutes in.
Let me explain real quick the premise. So like, essentially, it focuses on a dude who has a very scary face. He's really quiet. He doesn't talk to a lot of people. And as a result, he didn't make a lot of friends in middle school. So like all of us, he was like, oh, I'm going to high school. I'm going to reinvent myself. No one's going to know who I was. It's going to be great. Sits down in class next to the smallest girl I've ever seen. She's tiny. She's microscopic. She barely exists. Her
absolute baby, child.
She is absolute child. Her name is Aharen. And he sits next to her and he's like, okay, it's time. I'm going to be friendly and I'm going to make friends. So he starts talking to her and she's like, oh, hello, how you doing? Like whispering, being like, oh, yes. Like whispering so faintly that he cannot hear a word she says, and her mouth is barely moving. So he's just like, I guess she hates me. It's fucking over. And so it's like, if you've ever watched Tonari no Seki-kun, it's a lot like that, but kind of like a weird reversal of that, where it's a lot of the show is them just kind of pissing around in class talking to one another or attempting to talk to one another. But there's a point where he's like, okay, I have to find ways that I can communicate with this girl. And like, he's like, smoke signals, Morse code, sign language, like everything under the sun. But there's one in particular where he's like, okay, I know the perfect way that we can contact with one another. After he tried, like, I think telepathy and carrier pigeons, he's like, we're gonna do bone to bone contact. We are going to talk to each other through our bones. It's gonna work, I tell you. And so she's like, okay, let's, oh no, hang on. Okay, let's do this. And he's like, hello, Aharen-San. And she headbutts him. And he's like, hello, Aharen-San. And she headbutts him. You want to get lunch, Aharen-San? She headbutts him. There's literally like 3 or 4 shots of her just headbutting him. And it is the funniest fucking thing I've ever seen.
The best one for me was, there's the one cut where it has him just like, oh, hey, what's up? And then she just kind of comes in and, you know, like just, it isn't even animated. It's just a drawing of her. And it just gets plastered on his face.
Yes. It's
the best.
And then one last thing I want to bring up before we move on is I'm watching the ED and I'm like, okay, this is a nice little ED. All of a sudden, she comes out on this fucking flying saucer fidget spinner, spinning fidget spinners in her hands.
Yep.
And I'm just like, this is anime of the year as far as I'm concerned. God.
I don't blame you.
Like, Aharen-San right now is, it might be, it's somewhere in the top 4 for me. I don't know exactly where it would be. Brain is hard. Oh, God. Okay. So now, I would like to go to this next section of the podcast that I like to call, affectionately, Nick's Gundam BRAINROT. They're releasing a new Gundam show called Mobile Suit Gundam: The Witch from Mercury. It's the first Gundam show that we've ever gotten with a female protagonist, and they've shown off like images of what the main suit looks like. And it's so fucking cool.
Can I see it?
Like, say what?
Can I see it?
Yeah, sure. Let me pull up the link for you for this real quick.
Thanks.
Just to give context to the friendos, those that are watching the vidcast will probably also get it. If you're watching on the Spotify, you're shit out of luck. So
I'll describe it for the Spotify people.
All right, so there's the PV, or not the PV. There's the poster for it.
All right, so there's a Gundam with a V like shaped like cravat thing going on his chest, and he's got blue eyes that glow in the night. And there's like a refraction of light on the ground that's going up, a la like a Kingdom Hearts thing. And the Gundam is doing the T-bow.
All right, and then here's another thing where a big part of this thing's design is that it has some inner frame that gets exposed.
All right, so that cravat thing I was talking about, it now glows red. And he's got like the jewel that, you know, like that anime character that's got the jewel on their forehead. He's got that, but like huge.
You just described Adam Warlock.
I mean, that's all I got. That's what I got. It's what I get.
That's fair.
He's doing the thing that the robot that Mithra controls does when it activates.
Oh God.
Yeah. This is what Mithra's robot does, whatever that's called, Aeon or something.
But yeah, like the Witch of Mercury was announced, and I don't believe we have much more information about it other than it's the new Gundam TV series, which, if I recall, oh God, I think the last like actual Gundam show that we got, not including like the spin-offs like the build shows, was like Iron Bladed Orphans. Like, it's been a long time since we've had like a traditional Gundam show that isn't just toys. Which, to be fair, all Gundam shows are toys, but like normal Gundam is like, war is bad, here are toys. Gundam build shows are like, toys are cool, here are toys. Gundam is cool. And I love those shows. Gundam Build Fighters is like one of my favorite shows ever. But like also fucking sometimes I want my daily dose of war is bad.
Look at us. we're almost like a slice of life Yu-Gi-Oh anime.
No, he's straight up. Okay, the best way I can describe Gundam Build Fighters is it is Beyblade, but with Gundam models.
Yes, that's what I thought when I saw it.
It's so cool. It's so good. It's so fucking good. From there, we have the next thing. I'm really, really happy now that Overwatch players don't have to play their dog shit game anymore. And you don't have to play Paladins now either. You can play Gundam Evolution, which at the time of this recording, I'm pretty sure is still doing its public beta. I'm pretty sure they're still doing the public network test. Gundam Evolution, I think it got announced like a few months ago, is shamelessly Overwatch. Shamelessly. You look at like all of like the gameplay and the UI elements and like the way that they've set up certain classes.
So the people who made this, they definitely did not mind being Overwatch. They have now accepted that Overwatch is a genre of game and not just Overwatch. They know and believe in their products enough that that will be the difference that'll make them different from Overwatch. But we don't have the powerhouse that is Blizzard behind their back, so who knows if they'll get a competitive.
So here's the thing. You can say that, but they have the powerhouse of Bandai Namco Games.
This is true.
The Tekken people.
Okay, now, how long has it been since the Tekken game?
I mean, Tekken 7, and it's still getting updates. There's still DLC coming out for Tekken 7. They actively support it.
I'm just making sure that they're not, their heads aren't in a new game. It seems that their heads are still in another game. Usually when Bandai Namco gets their heads in a game, like the second they get in their heads in the game, everything dies. Or at least for a little while. So that means that this game is their new game. So, which means this game is going to get a good dive.
100%. I have a lot of confidence in this fucking game. Not to mention, it is giving me a chance to play as the Sazabi, which, for those, if you were watching the trailer, is like this big, chunky red boy. And I need it. I need Barbatos. I need the Gym Sniper. If they throw in the new Gundam, spelled with an NU, or actually it's spelled with the letter from the Greek alphabet, I will lose my fucking mind.
You could just show New from Blaze Blue and be like, there you go, there it is.
Oh my god, it's just new from Blaze Blue.
Just have her like spinning on the screen right now.
So I now know what are going to be the two recurring jokes every single time in this podcast. 1, Blaze Blue character stills. 2, headbutts.
Oh,
Can't
yeah.
wait.
Those
Can't wait
was-
until next October. Yeah, there's gonna be so many headbutts.
Ooh.
Yeah.
God, I love headbutts. But yeah, Gundam Evolution looks absolutely sick. I'm dog water at first-person shooters, though, so I'm going to see if I can not be dog water. Will I not be dog water? I don't know. I'm probably going to be garbage at that shit. I'm good at fighting games. I don't have to worry about being good at any other kind of video
Oh,
game.
yeah.
All right, so now do we break back into reality?
No, because reality is a cursed place, Nick. And in that cursed place, an anime just decides that they can't possibly end. They can't possibly finish.
Yeah.
So Studio Mappa is animating Attack on Titan final season part 3, which means that there is a 3-season part of a 4-season anime. So they decided that it was a great idea to steal from their 2013 counterpart Homestuck to continue their show. And you know what? I get it. Both of those shows are trying to do the exact same thing. But Studio Mappa there had to have been an investor meeting, okay, in the last couple of episodes for final season part 2. There had to have been an investment meeting where some guy said, "Hey, I read the comics and there's some stuff that I can't talk about on YouTube in those comics for the final chapters, my guys." And the producers for Attack on Titan went, Oh yeah, those are there. Okay. Well, what do you want us to do about it? Could you like make Armin like an actual threat? I think if you did that, and like you guys advertised really well and made the good guys look like good guys, we could put out like 7 really good episodes. And they were like, yeah, we can do that. And you want it consistent with the last part of the first season, right? Yeah, could you get rid of that, could you get rid of some of that, World War II symmetry? And they were like, oh yeah, we can get rid of that. We can do the thing that we used to do in season 1. Yeah, that thing people like, yeah. and then they did it, and Studio Mappa was like, man, we really just tortured those animators, didn't we? That was rough. And the last episode is when? It's next week, sir. Investors. Yeah, you guys did a good job. Well, just keep doing that. I think you're at the point where you can just kind of do a bunch of fights, right? They were like, yeah, that's they just kind of gotta fight the guy, yeah. All right, we'll do that. And then we got part 3. So technically, if you split up parts of a season, you would have 6 Attack on Titan seasons, which would make up for the fact that they took a 4-year hiatus.
So I'm trying to remember here. One, Mappa does not seem to know what the word final season means.
No, yeah, it's the last one, right?
2, does this mean that you have 6 seasons of anime, or do you have 4 seasons of anime?
You have 4 seasons according to the Anime Watcher on Netflix. Unless they split it up. That'd be rude. Like if they split up the final season parts into the separate parts, then yes, there is 6 seasons, and they just didn't want to call it the 6-season show. I feel like Attack on Titan is one of those shows that pretends it's not very long.
This really is the Homestuck of anime.
Homestuck does not pretend it's not long. Homestuck knows it's the longest written media in the world and appreciates it unabatedly. Attack on Titan knows that it had to fill the void during the Gigapause, and it filled the void with something.
Look, I'm gonna say right now, when I was reading Homestuck and it was updating, it felt like it was gonna end at any day, and it fucking didn't!
To the credit of Attack on Titan, it is still shorter than Yu Yu Hakusho. It is actually equidistant in length between the length of FMA Brotherhood and Yu Yu Hakusho.
Unfortunately, Yu Yu
Not
Hakusho ended on kind of sad terms.
Yes. Now, so with that in mind, I don't want to bitch about this show like I do, with all my friends and a little bit in episode 1. So that is all I have to say. I am looking forward to seeing an anime adaptation of one of my least favorite combination of chapters, of all time.
Are you hoping they fix it?
I don't think you can. I've had a lot of debates with people. I think there's going to be some high points in these chapters for Attack on Titan fans that are going to make them cry. There are going to be 11 instances in which somebody cries. And I know that I said 11, which means that people are currently counting how many main characters are still alive. and if it makes you feel any better, I'm not just talking about deaths, but it's Attack on Titan, so expect what you will.
So I am going to take this topic and I'm going to cut it into the nape of the neck, unless Kai has something that he wishes to add to this.
I was going to say, to segue into another show that's getting an anime adaptation that just won't fucking die. We'll talk about
another show that needs to also be cut in the nape of the neck.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Because, and I say this to somebody who is currently caught up with the original show. We're going to be talking about RWBY Ice Queendom.
Okay, so Kai, do you think that they're going to continue RWBY alongside this?
I think they are.
That would be so funny.
So here's the weird thing, because as we have read the statement by
please
Boring
Jeff
let me say it. Let me say it,
Kai. Please let me say it.
Take it away.
All right. Hang on. I am pulling this up right the fuck now. I'm so fucking excited to read this. The words of a madman. First, the world of RWBY, Ice Queendom, is not an alternate universe or a reboot. While the story is set in the same universe as the main show, we're calling it canon adjacent. The words of a madman, the words of someone that does not know how to exist in the same mortal plane as us small people. What the fuck does that mean?
So you mean it's an alternate timeline? That's what it is.
It's not an alternate timeline. It's an alternate timeline. Is basically what he said.
Yeah, exactly. Because as we understand it, so RWBY Ice Queendom apparently is going to be recapping the events of Volume 1 through Volume 2, and then at a certain point we are going to deviate from that. That is all we really know about the series. And it's weird because like there are some like, you know, weird inconsistencies with the original show versus what we got in the trailer. For one, Ruby's a lot more like openly hateful of Weiss.
That's what I've heard.
Like she straight up says I hate you instead of just saying like you're rude and annoying during the Nevermore fight. Like there's a lot that's like literally small things you'll find that are different. But it definitely is going to be an interesting thing to see out of the studios we got working on this show. What is it, like Good Smile, Shaft, Bandai Namco, Warner Bros. Japan, K-Lab. You got Gen Urobuchi doing being on the team. You got Huke doing character designs. There's a lot of good people on this show.
It really fucks me up how much of like the Nitro Plus team they got to work on this. Because the fact that you have Huke and Urobuchi Gen means that they basically got Nitro Plus in on this. And like, to me, that's like an all-star type of like, you have Nitro Plus, you have Shaft, like, you can't fuck this up, right? Like, I cannot believe in the year of our Lord and Savior 2022, they are tricking me into watching RWBY. They are tricking me into enjoying RWBY. And I don't know how to feel about it. Like, what is happening?
You want to talk about someone who got tricked into watching RWBY? I got begged to watch RWBY when I was in college.
Really?
Begged.
Oh boy, all right. Okay.
I had a bunch of friends who were like, Penny, great, Nora, great, oh my god, funny, lol, funny. And I was like, okay. And I watched it and I was like, that's charming. That's fun. I had someone who I was a friend with when I was in my first year of college who was a sophomore in high school, who like I knew in late high school, early college. And they said they saw that I was watching RWBY because I was like, it was like episode the first season had just finished, and I was like, I'll binge it. And I was on like episode 4, and I took a picture of me on Snapchat watching the opening, and they literally said, "You're watching RWBY? That's the cringiest thing I've ever seen." and it followed me because I was like, I'm not cringe, you're cringe, you know, like, and so I watched it until volume 3, and then I was like, oh my god. Oh my god. And remember, I was reading Ham Steaks at the time, so like if I'm saying it's cringe, it's a little rough.
Oh yeah. But
RWBY had a lot of good moments, and I promise I did like some of the time that I was having. I was in love with the show. I just fell out of love with it. Anyway, the anime adaptation, they made the show look a little prettier, which I mean, like, that was always my problem in the original RWBY, was their lighting was a little off. And now I think their lighting, and now I think their lighting now is like, because the other one existed, inherently not good. So because they had to make that like transfer, and they made the transfer what felt like a little abruptly, because I stopped watching and then they made the change, and then I came back and I was like, this change is weird.
I would like to say real quick in terms of the change from like original RWBY to like modern RWBY. Original RWBY was just because of the technical limitations and the fact that that show was made on very little budget, and the fact that Monty did what he did with RWBY in those first 2 seasons is actually stupidly phenomenal.
Yeah.
And like I actually respect so much what he was doing with the little bit that he had. And then I feel like what ended up happening is the further down you go, the more money and the more people get involved, the more standardized you usually have to get in order to meet through certain pipelines. And so you end up with what is essentially like this very standardized, simple type of like CGI lighting.
Yeah.
That is like a lot of people on their team probably know how to do it. And from a technical level, it does look good, but it has that same type of feeling that I have when I watch like a lot of that like made for TV 3D animation. Not like Jimmy Neutron, obviously, because Jimmy Neutron's Jimmy Neutron, but like it's one of those things where there aren't like very strong keyframes. The lighting usually tends to look a little too like by the books. Like it looks good on a technical level, but like
they relied on
stylistic
using
level,
treadmills for the runs way too much in early RWBY.
So one thing that I noticed when watching this trailer, it looks like the anime Monty wanted it to look like. You know?
Yes.
Yeah.
And
I would agree. I would very much agree.
So, which is unfortunate because like some of the characters, their designs are a little
off,
just
I would
off
say.
because we're so used. They've been baked into looking like they do in Cross Tag Battle.
Yeah, like so I was talking about this with Nick off stream like a while ago. But like how do you feel about like Ruby's design? Because I feel like her hair is a little bit off.
Ruby Rose, her head looks flat.
Yeah.
Like, but
there's
she's
just
supposed to be a
something-
child still, so like whatever.
Yeah. Honestly, if I had to go with anybody's like adaptation of RWBY into being like that should be the 2D art style RWBY goes into, either base it off of like specifically the concept art or the manga that Shiro Miwa did, because that manga is fantastic. If you haven't read that manga, that's a good manga. It basically just tells the story of like, you know, volume 1 of RWBY, but like it's fantastic. I love it. Good black light shading, great expressions. It's good.
I went to clip in for RWBY again. I think RWBY looks off in her normal like outfit, but she looks great in her school outfit. Like her hair looks like it makes sense. It's like it's like when the anime character powers up, RWBY just keeps forgetting to power up. It's like if Ryuko had her regular hair when fighting with Senketsu.
See, when I look at Ruby's hair, it just looks like she has droopy dog ears.
She is a tiny puppy who is obsessed with weapons. That's her character.
I want to be honest. This is the first time that I'm going to give RWBY the benefit of the doubt in 8 years. So they deserve it. They got an anime. They got
like what can you do?
They got an anime, fair or foul. You know what I mean? Like they really made a call, and they did it. And you know, there's a dude in heaven, hopefully, that is very happy about it, whether he's part of it or not.
And now to finish off, we got a segue.
I don't see one. I've never been to a mall.
Have you ever watched Paul Blart Mall Cop, the greatest anime of our generation?
I have not.
I have watched Paulo Blato. What is it? What's the word that they used for it? It was Seinfeld no Tonanari.
Wait, no, it's Tonari no Seinfeld. Tonari no Seinfeld.
So Tonari Blato-kun.
Tonari no Blato-kun. But speaking of some good ass anime, there were like 2 really, really good shows that finished that Kai and I were watching and that you have not watched yet. So Sabaku Ibisco finished, and in general,
it's over. Now I can watch it.
Last episode just hit, and I remember like Kai watched it immediately and then is like, Nick, we need to make a shit post with this. And I'm like, what? And he's like, you need to watch the episode. And I'm like, I'm moving, dude. I can't watch shit right now. And he's like, watch the fucking episode.
I did not yell at you. I was just like, just watch it whenever you can. But like, come on, okay.
Kai, let me make the narrative. I'm trying to punch you up here. trying
Alright,
to
fine.
trying to push the narrative.
Yeah, your job is to force Nick to do things. That's your new job.
I guess that is my job, isn't it?
I have this secret version of Kai in my head that I am going to send out to the world. But essentially, no. Kai was like, you gotta watch this. You gotta make sure that you see this. We need to make some shit posts with this. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. And like, I managed to make my way through most of my move. And I watched the last episode of Sabakui Bisco. And I'm just like, there's a point where, for those that haven't seen it, I'm going to be as lightly spoilery as I can. There's going to be very little here in the way of spoiler shit, just because of Lana being here. There's a point where the big baddie is you just like, oh, ha, I've won. I'm going to Android 16 all this fucking shit. And then everyone's like, dude, we got to stop this shit. All of a sudden, they stop him from Android 16ing. And there's one part that just destroys me. He fires an arrow, and in the background, you're just seeing bum, 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 and it's just giant fucking mushrooms just coming to this dude, and you're just like, I am about to watch a dude throw hands and lose to fungus. This is the best show ever. 10 out of 10. Sabakui Bisco is peak fiction. You need to fucking watch it. I'm begging you.
It's a very good show.
Protagonist.
Oh.
The protag is so crude for people who like confident, like not edgy, go-getter protags. This guy is definitely pretty good.
So sight.
Yeah, so sight.
It's just
It is
sight, yeah.
I know,
Exactly.
but we have fans that aren't sight.
I don't even think Sight watched the first episode.
Oh, what a bastard! We're gonna get him on
At
this.
least watched a part. He's a nice guy.
Yeah,
I would
that's
hope so. You know what? I'll name this part of the podcast specifically.
Yeah,
with
this
his
is the part
name.
Sight should watch.
This is the part Sight 360X needs to watch. And then, so we watched Bisco, and that shit was OD. And then we finished My Dress Up Darling.
What'd you think?
It's very, 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 very cute.
Yep.
Oh my god. So it's like it took me a second. I had to like inhale. I had to breathe everything so that I could remember exactly what went on, because I had to binge quite a bit of it in one go.
You basically binged half the show.
Yeah. But
Actually,
then,
I think exactly half the show.
but I'm like remembering back, and there is the point, and I'm going straight to the point here, where Gojo and Marin are at the festival. Spoilers for the final episode of My Dress Up Darling, by the way. They're at the festival. Marin is in her yukata, and, you know, she's being a bit of a tease. She's having a fun time with Gojo. She's just like, ooh, you can see the nape of my neck. And then Gojo's like, and then because he's going like, Marin's going like, and it's very cute. It's like she does something to tease him. He reacts, and then she reacts because he reacts, and she's just like, oh god, oh fuck, oh god, oh fuck. So you get to the point where you get to the fireworks, which is like right at the end, and Gojo makes a remark on he would always see the fireworks from inside of his room, but they were always just sounds in the distance. They were always just tiny sparks that would fly up for a fraction of a second and then just disappear without a thought. And he saw them from a distance and never really learned what it felt like to be close to the action, to be close to something for like his entire life. He had always just been separated from the world in his own little world, his own little room. Didn't really know how to like do anything. And so cut back, he's sitting there or standing there with Marin watching this display of fireworks, and he realizes now he can feel the sound permeating through his body. He can smell the smoke. He can see every little detail up close. And that's also kind of a metaphor for the work that he tends to do with like making clothes and making the dolls, because you only ever see those kinds of details when you're working up close with something, when you're really putting your all into it. And he realizes to himself that he hasn't been putting his all into life. And now that he's finally doing it, that he's getting closer to people, getting closer to the things that he wants to do with his life, he realizes now that the world is far more beautiful than he gave it credit for. And I think that in general, that is an absolutely wonderful, wonderful theme. And the relationship between Gojo and Marin, that is just always just a blast to just get to see this. And I'm like, this show does a lot. And I feel like in terms of what you get from that show, it's honestly kind of subtle, because it's like the show is always bashing you over the head with, look how cute Maureen is. Look how cute these other girls are. Cosplay stuff. Isn't it cute? Isn't it sexy? Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden they hit you with this. And I'm like, that's kind of deep.
Yeah, I think the best part about that whole thing is that it is the first time, again, the show does not tell you anything. His internal thoughts are silent through that entire bit. It's just told through imagery.
Yes.
It was just the best display of show don't tell. And that to me made that ending a lot like stronger. And the best part, that wasn't even the ending of the episode. That was just the climax. and then the end of the episode happens, and you know it's what you assume is going to happen. At this point, we've already said spoilers, so they end up what was it? Maureen calls him on the phone when she's like, "Hey, I ended up watching a scary movie and I can't go to sleep. Can you just be on call with me? And you can go fall asleep. That's fine. I just need someone right now." And then just kind of hanging out, talking about, you know, their summer break. And then Gojo's passing out. And as she realizes, oh, he's asleep, she starts talking to herself and is like, oh man, I really like this guy. Oh, well, I should go to sleep. And then she confesses her love to him as he's sleeping. It's so sweet.
That scene was incredibly relatable, and I feel like there's a lot of lived experiences there. If these are not lived experiences, I'm shocked, because I'm relating to so much of what happened in that last episode that it is unreal.
No, I mean, even going back to that one thing that I mentioned on episode 1, the scene where Gojo's, you know, just tired, he can't make the dress on time, and he's like just seeing himself as a failure. That was like, you know, that was my moment for me. Whereas the actual like finale of this was to you. I would think that the person who wrote this, very much this is like lived experiences, or if it's not their experience, it's other people's experiences they have heard about.
Yeah,
100%.
Oh my god. But I will say at this point, My Dress Up Darling has been an absolute blast. I definitely want more of it whenever it goes around, but where do you go from here? Like, that is just such
there's more characters that haven't been introduced.
No, but I'm talking about just like the thematics and everything. Like, it's hit a point now where I'm just like, this is absolutely fantastic. If you actually just ended the show here, I wouldn't care. But if we're getting more of this.
No, we're absolutely getting more, because you can't tell me that, you know, this didn't do well, because when this was airing, I would see Marin Kitagawa on my timeline every day, constantly. All these fan artists drawing her, everybody talking about the show, just showing screen caps. I know I did.
I know people who I haven't spoken to in years that were watching it as I like came into their home this week, you know?
Yeah.
And again, overall, it was a fantastic, I don't want to say the word product, because I always feel gross when I feel like all of a sudden I say the word product and like a suit begins like sweating out of my like pores, and it's like venom. Like,
just speak to it as like, you know, it's an adaptation.
It was just a good show. It was a good show all around, and I'm honestly hoping for the best. I'm hoping that a lot of animators weren't like overworked for it, but in general, like, good show. Good
show.
shit.
I'm really glad that I put that show on my top 5. Even before seeing that finale episode, I'm like, no, this show is just way too good. It did everything I wanted it to do.
But now we've talked about what we finished. Do we talk now about what we've started?
Oh boy, it is time.
All right.
Sorcery Fight. Wait, you don't know that name.
I
It's called
love
Jujutsu
Sorcery
Kaisen.
Fight.
I love
Sorcery Fight's my favorite anime.
Fuck. Magic Fight? Real quick, before we start getting too off topic, I'm going to reel us in here. We're going to get this going. So, for those that don't know, I have started something with my 2 compadres here. We have started something I like to call the Book Club, where essentially the 3 of us get together and we pick a show, we watch it together, and afterward we get onto this here podcast and have a section called the Book Club, where we essentially kind of go over what we thought. It's an excuse for us to go back and watch shows that we have just not seen, or stuff that we've missed, or things that we want to revisit and talk about again.
All right.
So it's essentially a book club.
But currently we're using a show that not all of us had seen when we started this show.
Yes.
So we're starting. The first one's going to be Jujutsu Kaisen, which is one that I actually started before someone in here. So
Yes.
That's a first.
For once, I'm at an advantage. So we're gonna start
the one
with
time I am not the anime boy.
and since we're doing a review, for if anyone needs any refreshers on something, I do have the Wikipedia open now. So we do have like a little bit of a thing, but I'm probably not going to touch this. But if you have any questions about like a name or something, I have it right here.
I have a lot of questions
have a
about
little bit.
names because in my brain, I just remembered the main character, and my brain immediately was just like Tanjiro, and I'm like, I know for a fact that is not right.
His name is Itadori Yuji.
I almost called him Itagaki.
A good one thing. I love Itagaki. I also hate Itagaki. So I like to think of it as Itadori. It almost sounds like Do Re Mi Fa So to me. So
Here's the thing. I watch
easy
enough
for me to
episodes
remember.
and I will remember the names. Like, I have trouble remembering names from people in basically any show that I watch.
Mhm.
So the fact that I was able to remember, like when I was talking about Dress Up Darling, I actually called him Gojo. You have no clue how proud of myself I was that I remembered a character name.
I mean, speaking of Gojo, there's a character named Gojo in this show.
Yeah,
Gojo
there is.
Satoru.
Yeah, his name is Kakashi Hatake.
Yeah, his name is
And he's even stronger because he covers both eyes.
Oh my god.
Exactly.
Imagine
He's
if
got
the
that big
headband was
brain.
just over his face. So he
Exactly.
is one with the Force, and the Force is one with him, as it were.
Oh god.
So let's
But
start
now
with Jujutsu Kaisen Episode 1, which aired on October 3rd, 2020 in Japan, and November 20th, 2020 in the United States. So, like, this show aired after half of the United States had opened its doors.
That's tragic.
Yeah, so this was
why?
So this is around when the vaccine started going out. Which is
Well, I mean,
So if there's ever any air date errors, then that's something that we should probably keep track of, because then
probably.
we need to know what was going on. So this is the anime that people got addicted to in the first 3 episodes, which is what we just watched, but this was happening. So for a Western audience, they were considering who they were voting for. Like during
We're talking about like the presidential election,
Yeah,
not like a
yeah.
character popularity.
Oh,
poll,
no,
right?
the presidential election, because it was in November. So this
Okay,
show
because if
got
it
really
were a
popular
character popularity poll, I would vote for Itadori every single time.
100% of the time right now.
I would also vote for Itadori in the presidential election.
I think that he would be great.
He would have gotten something done by now.
He would have already. He would have went and fought everyone for us.
He would have punched COVID.
All right, so this episode takes place in medias res,
Yes.
which I found very interesting, because I don't remember when I first watched this episode the first time that it started in medias res. I must have just not been paying as much attention as I thought I was, and I thought I paid a lot of attention in this episode.
And real quick, also, it is a big deviation from the manga because in the manga, you, I believe, immediately start with them doing some occult club activities. And actually, no, I think it actually starts with, oh God, what is Sasuke's name?
Sasuke's
That's
name is Fushiguro.
Megumi Fushiguro.
You both talked at the same time, and I didn't get a word of that.
Lana, you go.
Fushiguro. So Megumi Fushiguro is his name. I remember
Fushiguro.
You can call
Fushiguro. Okay.
In the English dub they call him Fushiguro, which is a little easier for English word enunciation.
Nah, it's fine. I got it. Fushiguro. So essentially, I believe the manga actually opens with Fushiguro opening the cabinet, seeing the cursed MacGuffin is gone, and being like, oh, fuck. And so you don't even start in medias res. You just start with that. And then I think you start getting introduced to like the occult club and the rest of the cast. And then you get introduced to Itadori, where you find out he's a goddamn monster.
So that's interesting.
Like,
so we don't get all the phone call. So in the anime, not only did we start with this situation where where Itadori is being interviewed by Gojo or interrogated by Gojo because of his execution that's allegedly coming up, but furthermore,
yes,
we also get a him calling his grandfather and doing a bunch of interactions with them. So I guess the manga starts with Fushiguro finding out about the thing, and then I guess they flash back to that, or they just don't do that, and he goes straight to the hospital, which is also perfectly fine.
I believe it starts with Fushiguro, and then it goes to the grandpa.
Okay.
I think.
Well, okay. So like in this one, it goes through the interrogation, and then he goes, and then it's and then he does the scene with his grandfather. Then we see Fushiguro at the school, as he sees Itadori do the thing where he like throws the metal ball farther than the national world record. And that's when we find out that our character, even though he has not been introduced to the plot, has super strength. For some reason. Which is fine.
He's swole. He works out.
He's just built
like,
different.
Dude eats his vegetables.
It reminds me of the fact that Ippo was ripped when he met the main characters, even though he wasn't into boxing, solely because he worked on his father's boat. So,
yeah, he lifts fish all
he
day.
would lift
boxes.
He lifted all those boxes for people, and he sent them out, and all this bait, stuff like that, so he got really strong. This guy, he's really strong. I don't know what he's doing. He's probably, like, naturally talented, and he just works out at home or something, because he's in the occult club, so it's not like he's doing... The whole thing was like, hey, why are you not in the track and field club? And he's like, well, I don't want to do that. You guys are fun. Like, so yeah. He's got an opinion. He doesn't, like, gravitate towards the things he's naturally good at. But later in the episode, like, he gets a little spicy with his talents. So, if anyone wants to cover the next scene, that's cool.
I was gonna say, like, it's like you get to that point where he gets introduced, and then he runs past Fushiguro, and I was like, the moment Itadori starts running by him, I'm in my head being like, they're gonna do the scene. They're gonna do the scene where they're gonna cross by, and then the moment they pass each other, you're gonna get the freeze frame. And then they do that, it freeze frames, and you see a little spark, and I was like, there it is! That's what I want! That's what I want out of every anime ever! Whenever you have two characters run past each other, always have the freeze frame. If you don't do that, you are subjectively wrong.
There's also no way without something like that to convince a character who's never met another character to do anything more than just admire his physical feats.
Exactly.
There was no reason for Fushiguro unless he had the ability to sense some sort of cursed object.
Yes, and so Fushiguro senses a cursed object. He's like, hey, yo, Choto a minute. And then Itadori, like, runs away like Sonic the Hedgehog. And
literally.
runs literally like Sonic the Hedgehog, and runs as fast as a car does. So he meets his grandpa in the hospital because his grandpa's not doing too hot. He's like, hey, yo, Gramps, I brought you flowers. And then grandpa's like, you should actually, use your talents to actually do things. I'm going to die now. Blech. And so he dies.
Yeah, he did just die. So here's the deal with that scene. Nick, describe how you were feeling for all of us.
This happens, and I'd seen Grandpa in the OP, and I'm like, oh yeah, he's in the OP. Okay.
He's got a really good role in the OP too. Like, look where he's sitting. He's got a lot of light on him. Like, this guy's gonna do something.
Yeah, he's probably gonna be fine, and you know what? He's gonna do a fight or something, and it's gonna be really cool. And then he dies, and I'm like, oh, he's taking a little nap. It's a bit, right? And then you just hear Itadori be like, my grandpa's dead. And like it cuts to him having filed the paperwork. And I'm over here just like, what? He's dead?
Yeah.
Like that? On God?
So I actually,
dead?
Yeah.
I actually stopped the conversation when we were watching it together because I needed Nick to experience the thing I did. So me and my friends were sitting there talking about the episode. And I was like, this episode's going so fast. Why is everything going so fast? Why is everyone talking so fast? There's so much exposition here. And it's like, okay, I understand. I need to get to know the world. I need to get to know Itadori's personality. And then they stopped talking. And I watched the English dub. So they had to go a mile a minute to keep up with these Japanese fast talking sons of bitches. The English dub is going 10,000 miles per hour, and then suddenly an old man passes away, like silently and peacefully, and then the talker of the show, Yuji Itadori, shuts the fuck up for a minute, and he is just at a loss for words, which is excellent storytelling. So he was affected by this. And he held it together because he thought it was the right thing to do. And that is a very good way to adapt a death scene from a manga to an anime.
It was so fucking good. And I think the fact, I want to know what they were thinking when they put Grandpa in the OP being like, where for the people that have never read the source material, oh, we're gonna get them.
I think you know exactly what he's doing there.
For the people who read the source material, we totally got him.
For the people that read the source material, we got him.
Now, I honestly don't know past episode 8 of this show, so if that guy is still alive somehow, then like because later he gets a little later in the show, like the beginning of episode 2, he gets cremated. That guy's still alive somehow. Damn, you know what I mean?
Durable.
They really pulled a Greg House with that one and changed the bodies.
So I feel really dumb for a second before we go back to it. The point where Grandpa's cremated and he's picking up the bones with chopsticks. For a minute, the bones, I thought they were the demon that we're going to get to in a minute. And I thought that Itadori was going to eat the bones.
I was scared he was going to eat the bones too. When I first saw it, I was
he's
like,
picking them up with chopsticks.
That's how I know that I don't know a damn fucking thing about cremation. I learned a lot of things watching this scene. Yuji Itadori, you have taught me more in 2 episodes about the real world than a lot of people in my middle school and high school days.
But then, Kai.
Mm-hmm.
I remember we get to... Oh my god, I've already forgotten Sasuke's name again.
Fushiguro.
Fushiguro.
Fushiguro, yeah. Fushiguro shows up to the hospital. And then is like, yes, hello, I'm the exposition. I am going to exposition you now.
And Yuji's just like, my grandpa just died. Can I get like 5 minutes? And the guy's like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. This is time sensitive.
Yeah, we got shit to do. And then Itadori finds out. I almost called him Utadori. Itadori finds out that the cursed object that he gave his friends is fucking them up. That this cursed object is the cursed finger of a fucking demon, and it's not a good look. And so, Kai, how do you feel about once it gets to the fight scenes with the world's most unnecessary flips?
Yeah. So, I gotta say, man, this show knew exactly what it was doing right out the gate. It was like, no, you know what? We have to make this fight as visually interesting as possible. It was great. While we were watching it, Nick pointed out saying that like it kind of reminded him of like UFO table stuff.
Yeah. It's definitely in that same school of they use a lot of 3D for the environments and a lot of 3D for the characters as well, but they do it so subtly and so intelligently that like I think the only difference between what I would see from this and like your average UFO table show would be the lighting, because if there's one thing that UFO table has, it is lighting and color correction in a very specific way that only they do it a lot of the time. And like, but in terms of like the kineticness and the action, in terms of like what they do with the camera, oh my God, they approach camera angles and choreography in such a smart way. Like the show blew me out of the water once you got to those big action scenes, and there's just parts where they're fighting like that first demon, and Itadori will like do so many flips and shit, and I'm over here just like, they didn't even have to animate that. They could have animated him jumping, and it likely would have been enough to be manga accurate. But he's just like doing flips and shit. There's a point in episode 3 where he jumps up into the air, does like a spin and a flip, and I'm like, that wasn't fucking necessary, but it looks so fucking cool.
No, the best part about that flip was he does it, stabs the knife in the demon, is like, hey, I got some moves.
Yeah, seriously. Even he's just like, wow, the animators sure went an extra mile on this one, huh? But anywho, so what ends up happening is he's just a dude. He's trying to fight a demon, and Fushigi Yugi-san is over here just like, no, you cannot fight a demon. You can't hurt them. You don't have any
Only a curse can beat a curse.
Except when they don't.
And so then Demon grabs Itadori. Oh my God, Megumi, the Sasuke guy, like he's bleeding real bad. He got fucked up. And then Itadori is like, oh, so I need cursed energy, right? How do I get that? He's like, oh no, you gotta eat a demon or something. He's like, there's that demon finger. I can eat that. He's like, no, don't eat the demon finger. I'm gonna eat the demon finger. Don't eat the demon finger. I'm doing it. And so he eats it. And so
from his position at that point, considering that he'd already done like 8 backflips into the guy's mouth, like there was no other option than eating the finger and seeing
that
if
was
it
pretty
gave
much
him
it, because at that
superpowers.
point the finger was like it was being like dangled out of his mouth. He was like being held by the demon, so he really couldn't do anything. It's like, well, all right, I'm just gonna eat this finger. Like that's all I can do.
it's either eat the finger or guess I'll die.
Now
so-
here's my issue. Why didn't that dude start doing hand signs?
Because he was tired.
Oh
He
my
couldn't
God, I
think.
am not, you are not Joseph Joe-starring me right now. You're telling me this guy has never been bleeding out of his eyes like this before? This demon, this curse really just got him good? It just
Look, I'm gonna
absolutely
say-
wrecked him.
I'm going to say right now that every scene he's appeared in so far, other than the very first one where his dogs went nuts, he was a jobber.
Yeah.
Am I wrong so far?
Yeah, but those
What
dogs.
has he done in those
Why did
first
they
3
animate those
episodes?
dogs so intricately? They really wanted us to watch those dogs eat that demon. They love so the dogs were eating the demon. They changed the shot to another angle of the dogs. Those dogs.
They really did.
Everywhere. I watched that dog chomp and then start smiling once he finished eating, and then
It
it
was so
changed
good.
shots. What a nice like 4 frames.
You never get to see animation of dogs eating. It is a market that has been not even close to cornered yet. Someone needs to hop in on that niche of dogs eating as animation.
A dog
Ooh.
eating a monster like after defeating it while the other characters are having a conversation is actually hype.
That's peak cinema.
I mean, I know a show that's going to be showing that off. I work on that show.
True.
But
Anyway, I'm not going to show back to Jujutsu Kaisen.
But I was gonna say, then so he eats the finger, and not Sasuke basically is just like, okay, one of two things is gonna happen. Either he fucking dies and explodes from cursed energy, or 1 in a million's gonna happen. And of course, he's a shonen protagonist. So like all of a sudden, like the Ultra Instinct music starts playing and he starts getting all these weird curse marks. And then all of a sudden, he opens up another set of eyes underneath his actual eyes. And then you get this ridiculously cool fisheye lens shot of it just zooming out of his face. And the focal point is his teeth. They focus on the teeth. They pull back while rotating, but they make sure to keep the teeth weirdly in shot. So that way, throughout the entire constant of this, Itadori, who is now, oh god, what was the demon's name? Sukuna?
It's Ryomen Sukuna, yeah.
Sukuna, okay, yeah. Like, Sukuna, who is currently possessing Itadori's body, appears as inhuman as possible. And like in terms of shot direction and shot composition and the way that they planned the angles, oh my god, it looks so good. It looks so good. So Sukuna fucks up this demon because he's essentially like the demon king for the most part. He's like big dick demon
Mega
king.
Ultra
And then
Turbo God. Like the
Yeah,
ultimate,
and
like,
And so he starts flaunting around on top of the building like a WWE superstar, being like, oh man, this new world, so many women and children for the taking. Oh, this is gonna be a bloodbath. This is gonna be a massacre. And then all of a sudden, Itadori grabs his face and he's like, no, that's bad. Don't do that. Who the hell are you? The guy that owns the body. Could you fucking not? And then he takes back control of his body and he's just like, hey man, what's going on? And he's like, wait, so you're in control of your body? Yeah? Boy, you ate a finger and turned into a demon. Yeah? And then both Fushigi Yugi and Gojo are just who also shows up. Blindfolded dude with gray hair, Gojo. He shows up and he's just like, sorry, I'm late, guys. I wanted to go buy some like sweets for everyone.
He wanted to buy mochi.
He wanted to buy some mochi for his friends. So he shows up. Itadori's like, I ate a finger and turned into a demon. And then they both look at him simultaneously and they're just like, for real? On God? Just like that. And like, they're both in shock that he was stupid enough to eat the finger. And so from there, they give him a little test to see if he can control Sukuna, the demon. He can. And so that's when they're like, well, I mean, we can either kill you now, or you can go gather the body parts, the corpse parts, the Shikon jewel shards, the cursed MacGuffin. And so the goal of the show turns into Itadori has to gather the cursed MacGuffin. And to do that,
the 20 Black Star Dragon Balls.
Exactly. He has to capture the 20 Black Star Dragon Balls. And to do that, he has to go to Magic Demon Sorcerer School.
Welcome to the Grand Tour.
Welcome to the Grand Tour, Jujutsu Kaisen.
And that was episode 1. Like,
that is actually 1.5.
Yeah, one and 1/3.
Yeah, episode 1 ends around the time that you realize that Yuji is able to control Sukuna. And then right before Gojo shows up, Fushiguro is just like, I placed you under arrest of, being a curse. And he's like, what? And the episode ends.
And I find it funny that he's just like, oh no, I can't stop the demon. But the moment the Demon King shows up, he's like, I can do hand signs again. Let's go.
Exactly. It's like, man, you just really only cared when you were like, oh, I could pop off now.
Oh, I can kill the Demon King. Oh, fuck you.
All right, so we get to go to the school, and the school, I think, was actually, Nick, your favorite part of that episode.
100%.
Like, by a lot. Itadori's initiation to the school happens as Gojo is just like giving him as much information about Sukuna as possible.
Yes.
So he just so that's up to you guys to find out. But Sukuna does have 4 arms, and that's why there's 20 fingers. So
And to comment real quick before we get to the point in the school, there's a point where they're giving this big exposition dump about Sukuna. Sukuna appears as a mouth on Itadori's face, and then as that happens, Itadori covers it up. He's like, sorry, that happens sometimes. And then Sukuna appears as another mouth on his hand, be like, nah, fuck you. I'm going to get to talk if I want. And like, it's getting to be such a cool dynamic that is established immediately that, wow, the main antagonist and the protagonist are essentially sharing the same body. They are essentially the same character. That scene in particular is when it really stood out to me of, wow, they're actually doing the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde angle, but they're doing it in such a cool fucking way. At this point now, though, we get to the best part of any sort of like shonen bullshit is, oh, we got to give our main character a test. We got to make sure that they're ready to go to Japanese magic school. And so we get to meet the principal, and the principal is the most Yakuza looking motherfucker.
he really
on
does
the
look like
planet.
some serious son of a bitch, doesn't he? Like
He does.
this guy showed up. I was like, damn, and then that's it. that's all I had to think about that guy. I was like, damn, and then he started talking, and I was like, that's exactly what I thought you'd sound like.
I honestly expected him to sound like Japanese Seto Kaiba, personally.
Now tell me, what was he doing?
Well, you see, he was sitting there.
Here's a picture of this
In the-
guy right now. What was he doing, Nick?
He was sitting there in the dark. He was sewing some stuffed animals. And then Itadori is like, are you, like, sewing stuffed animals? And he's like, yeah. What about it? Anywho, I heard you wanted to attend our school. You keep sewing. Why do you want to attend our school?
I think it'd be really cool to do cool things because my grandpa said so.
So you're telling me that you want to save lives because someone else told you to do it? That kind of motivation is just going to get you to blame the person that made you start in the first place. And so all of a sudden, he's like sewing this little Kappa dude that comes to life and proceeds to beat the shit out of Itadori.
While dabbing.
Beat the fucking shit out of this kid.
guy. So
this kid gets bodied.
So this kid is getting beaten up by a stuffed animal.
Yeah.
A stuffed animal that is posing like this great Saiyaman. Like this is like a Macho Man impersonation of the great Saiyaman. He doesn't say anything because he's
So
a cursed
good.
object controlled by the principal, and he's just wrecking Itadori, just wrecking him. And Itadori's like, I don't have any fucking powers. I can't beat this thing. And the guy's just talking shit. And Itadori's like, man, man, old man, you ask a lot of serious questions. And I don't have all the answers for that. But I'm gonna do my best because I would be super guilty if this Sukuna shit kept going.
Yeah, and he brings up one point that I think the way that he phrased it was he has never put a lot of thought into the things that only he could do. And he's realized at this point now that he's the only person, he's 1 in a million, that would have the chance of even beginning to stop Sukuna. And he realizes that if he says no and somehow managed to get out of his execution, he would be living the rest of his life in regret, because he'd see all of these deaths and be like, that was probably because of a demon, or that was probably because of Sukuna. I probably could have stopped that. And he does not want to live his life in that way. So it turns into, yeah, his grandpa might have been the person that got him started on the path of, I want to protect people, but he himself is the one that keeps himself on that path. he is the one that has decided this is the path that I want to take. Not because someone else told me to, but because I myself feel it is right.
And then the guy gives him his own dorm, and now he lives there.
And now he has a room,
and
it's sick. It's just like real life. You fight your dad, and then after you fight your dad, he's like, "Here's the key to the Camaro. Go get him, champ."
Fushiguro is his next door neighbor because Gojo does not like Fushiguro. Is what I. This is
Fushiguro gives me massive Chainsaw Man vibes.
so
my
Gojo
God.
treats Naruto well and treats Sasuke like shit. Is like really what it comes down to. And I don't like comparing Fushiguro with Sasuke solely because I'm farther in the anime. I thought.
Yes.
And we're finally
He just looks like Sasuke is the thing. He just looks
now
like
these two
it.
are the first years at this school, and finally the third episode is how we're going to meet our third first year. So the second episode of Jujutsu Kaisen aired on October 10th and aired in America on November 27th. The third episode of Jujutsu Kaisen aired on December 4th and October 17th in Japan. And these are all of 2020. So this show became popular during the holiday season. Kind of cool, because that is kind of the time that you'd end up watching like anime on TV with your brother, like at home because you came home from college or something. So this show was very easily absorbed, you know, because we were back to school. Like, we weren't all in person the next semester. But this was definitely the time to binge, your last chance to binge anime if you were a college student.
Exactly.
So this show built up, it had to have been 10 episodes before Christmas. And then, like, had a lot of episodes available to English dub watchers to go watch and sub on Crunchyroll, you know?
I want to say in general, this is probably a show that pushed a lot of people to... Actually, did it air first on Crunchy or Funimation?
Good question.
You know what? I'm just going to say streaming services. This is the type of show that pushes people to go onto streaming services or slightly less legal alternatives to go ahead and watch the shows. And it probably also got a good amount of people potentially into anime.
This might have been one that pushed people into shonen.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
and like, I'm definitely getting the vibes from this show that I got when I was like watching Naruto on TV for like the first time. When like I feel like everyone here can kind of like talk about that Naruto hype. I believe it was like when Toonami was like first doing like a big reboot thing where they were like rebranding everything. And they were like, okay, here's all of the new shows that we're getting in this year. And like, it was like Naruto. Like constantly. They were constantly pushing Naruto. If you were watching Cartoon Network in like the year of our Lord and Savior, 2006 or 7, around that time in America or North America, I guess, like you just saw Naruto
everything.
Constantly. And, like, that was such a fucking gateway for so many people.
It's really weird because, like, this was an era where it was very hard to sell toys. So, like, there was no... So, even if, like, they did have toys in mind for animes right then and there, which has become less popular lately, but, like, even if they did, this show wouldn't have been able to build its clout out of merchandise sales. So this show is literally building itself of its own merits, which is very neat.
But episode 3. For episode 3, we get introduced to the girl.
Yes. So the girl's name, Nobara, is she's
I love her.
Yeah, I think that she is a delight. And when I first watched this show, people told me that I wouldn't like Nobara because she's in the Sakura spot.
Yeah.
But people don't. I think people think that I hate Sakura Haruno. And I don't. so that's a whole nother thing. But what's her full name? Nobara Kugisaki? Is that what it is?
Yep.
Kugisaki.
It's Kugisaki. Yep.
So, I'm gonna call her Nobara. Is that okay?
Yeah.
So Nobara is a great character. I think that she has an extremely large range of personality, and I love how every single episode they've gone, yeah, everyone that hunts these curses, they're fucking crazy. And I know Itadori is crazy just because he's rash. Fushiguro, I guess by crazy they mean he has depression.
Oh my god!
Because that's what he acts like. He just acts like somebody.
Yeah, he's just kind of depressed.
And I'll just skip right to the near the end of the episode to explain this one. Nick even said, "That's me sometimes. Sometimes I'm just doom scrolling when people talk to me."
Yeah, 100%.
Because there was a scene where they were like, "Hey, do you want to eat somewhere? Do you have a suggestion?" And he just continues texting on his phone.
Yeah.
So, and then she's just wacky. I don't know what I don't know if she's mean. I don't know if she's just honest. I don't know if she's both. She's very fascinating. So that's one of those characters that you just need to watch. Like I can't describe it. I can talk about her history, which they go into, but I don't think that covers everything,
One thing that I can kind of say from my point of view with that character is her motivations. If I had seen, and I think this is probably where a lot of the hate comes from for this character. If I had seen her in my youth, like maybe even 5 years ago, I would have probably seen this character and been like, oh, wow, she's shallow and one-dimensional. What do you mean she's doing this just because, oh, she wants to go to Tokyo? That's it? She just wants to leave the countryside behind? Wow, isn't that sure selfish and stupid? No one would act like that in real life. And now that I have been blessed with the wisdom that has come with being almost 30, and then watching the show, and then seeing this character interact with people, I'm just like, wow, fucking mood, relatable. Like, she feels like out of the entirety of the cast, she's the closest, like, to a real fucking person. Like, the way that she acts in terms of, like, turning on a dime with, like, being emotional at points, her motivations, the way she tends to approach a lot of problems, like, feels like a real person. Itadori does not feel like a real person. Fucking Fushiguro does not feel like a real person. Gojo definitely doesn't feel like a real person.
He's just an ass kicker.
He's just Kakashi. Also, I think her power is super cool of being like, oh, do I have your hand? Are you trying to run away? Have this fucking nail in this straw doll, you stupid fucking idiot. Die. Like, her entire shtick is based around, like, hammers and nails. And, like, going across, like, what are essentially Japanese straw voodoo dolls. Like what you were saying, Kai. That's one thing I really like about a lot of shonen, especially modern shonen, is they'll take, like, the strangest little concepts and be like, what if that was a power? And I'm just like, God, I love shit like that. That's why I think Nobara is, like, she's great. I love her. And anyone that says that they dislike that character, go outside, talk to people.
So when they eventually she gets in this fight and this guy is holding this child hostage, or this curse is holding a child hostage because they're trying to explain that curses are intelligent, like even if they're weak, they're intelligent. Yes. So you don't want to fuck with that. So she's killing this, she's fighting this guy, and she has to surrender because they're holding a child hostage, and then Itadori, the freak that he is, punches a hole in the back wall and is like, oh fuck, I missed, and just walks through the wall like Superman and cuts the guy, and the guy goes to escape, and they grab his hand, and she exercises it using a hammer and a straw doll. So
It's so cool.
And the
It's
guy
so
just dies.
cool.
He just dies. He gets a bunch of
Dead.
spikes in his body and dies. And he's dead. He's finished.
And it's really funny because Gojo and Fushiguro were like looking up and they're just like, okay, we gotta take care of this. And he just explodes in spikes. And then Gojo's like, nah, we're good. Let's go get some.
Nah, she's crazy enough.
She's crazy.
She's crazy.
Christ!
She's absolutely wild.
Oh, God.
So Nobara proved herself to the party, and Itadori saw her ability and was like, that's fucking awesome. Can you stop being such a bitch to me? And she was like, every once in a while, I will stop being a bitch to you. And he was like, I guess I have to settle. and then Gojo was like, we're celebrating. Let's get food. And then they went and got food. The two country people finally got to eat real food. And Fushiguro was doom scrolling on Twitter. And they went. And this show, now that I know, has cold endings. So the show will go back to the show and give you a Marvel movie ending.
Yes.
Real fast. Because they had a whole slice of life conversation about what they wanted to eat for dinner. And they did. That and it was a good relationship moment for Fushiguro, or for Fushiguro, Nobara, Gojo, it was good for Team 7. It was good for the first years.
Good for Magic Team 7.
It was good for Class 1A. Like it was good. It was good to get them all together and have them have a conversation like normal human beings, except they're not normal human beings, and they're going to have a weird conversation, and it's going to seem completely normal for them, and we are going to have fun watching it, or not. And if we don't, then we probably don't like the show. But we like the show, so it worked.
Show is good. I definitely am happy that this is the first show that we've kind of picked for the book club.
Mm-hmm.
And I am happy to kind of keep it going, which for people at home, if you've somehow made it through this extended filibuster of a second episode, if you would like to watch along with us, we'll be watching 3 episodes of Jujutsu Kaisen per week until we are either caught up, completed, or dead.
Or it reaches October.
That too.
Yeah. When it reaches October, we've got another project in our hands.
Oh baby.
But Kai, Nick, any final thoughts? I liked watching those episodes again. It was good. It reminded me why I started watching the show and kept watching it.
Yeah, I think the show had a very strong first 3 episodes. It did a great job of establishing its world, its rules, getting us to know the characters and their personalities. I just thought it was a good show. It's something that the only reason why I didn't watch Jujutsu Kaisen when it was coming out was because there was so much other stuff coming out at the time that I just wanted to watch instead. And I just put Jujutsu Kaisen on the back burner because I was like, I am probably going to like this show. I can almost guarantee that I'm going to like this show. So I just waited. I did the same thing with My Hero Academia. I waited until season 2 started, then I watched and binged season 1.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Because I knew that. And in this case, it's like, at the time of filming this, Jujutsu Kaisen 0, the movie, came out and is in theaters and is doing very well. And, eventually I'll get to that movie, but we have to finish this series first, which will be a couple weeks.
Of course.
But speaking of that movie, I do believe we need to talk about something that's happening relating to that movie.
I will get to that right here, actually.
Yeah.
But real quick, my thoughts on those first 3 episodes, fucking fantastic. There's not much more I can really say about that. Everything about it was fucking spot on. But for those that don't know, there's been a little bit of discourse going on this week with the fact that Sony and Funimation launched Jujutsu Kaisen 0, which is a prequel movie, in theaters. It got a big theatrical release. Bunch of people went to see it. Movie grossed, if I recall, about $30 million, which is really, really good for an opening weekend for an anime film. A foreign film, if you really think about it. You don't hear about foreign films making 30 mil in a weekend. That's nutty. And, well, a lot has been getting out lately with the types of contracts and the types of payment that a lot of people in the voice acting and voiceover industry have been getting, where there are people who played main roles in Jujutsu Kaisen for this film. They were lucky to make anywhere between $1,500 to $2,400
Huh?
for
'Cause
their entire performance.
Because I have a tweet right here that says they were paid $150 to $300 for their time, and they do not receive any royalties or post-release payments whatsoever from your buddy.
I will say this, that $1,500 to $2,400, that was for a lead role. That was for a lead role. The star of your films.
Star of your entire film that grossed $30 million in the United States this weekend.
We're lucky to make $1,500 to $2,400. Lucky to. If you weren't a lead role, you were lucky to get $150 to maybe $500. Maybe. The pay rates that they have been given are absolutely ridiculous. And the people high up in Funimation and Sony, and a lot of the people in the anime dubbing industry in general, need to look over this contract shit. And if they want to, like, actually manage to keep their talent, like, oh my God, they need to look over these rates. And it's one of these things where you also see actors, myself included, I will say this right now, there would have been a point where if I had been offered an opportunity like this, I would have taken it despite the payment, because it would be like, oh yeah, it's the art. It's the art.
Exposure.
I want to do it.
Like it's good for your brand. It's one of those. I've heard them all. Don't worry, my dude. But like it is just one of those things that we need to break from the business.
Yes.
But we're beating a dead horse here, guys. Like there are people out there who are currently reporting it, but it is nice to know, as somebody who's seen a dark side of the industry, that there are people, despite those who've, the ratio has caught them, that are still out there trying to make a change for the boys,
And I would like to comment on one last thing, and then if you have anything to say on this, Kai, because I know you also have a horse in this race, you have skin in this game as well, is a lot of the SAG-AFTRA, the Stage Actors Unions, are trying their damnedest to get in and, like, really make a change. Union actors, union voice actors have become so much more common. And I'm just really hoping that everyone can really band together and stop this injustice of people being part of products that are worth 30 mil in a weekend being paid pennies and then not being appreciated for the work that they have done. Because at the end of the day, acting is still work.
Exactly. And just to bring this into a broader sense, because we did talk about, the issue with the animation industry and stuff like that in Japan and in the West. For us right now, the new deal for animation, hashtags going around Twitter, like storyboard artists and animators, like, we're not getting paid like how we should. At the end of the day, we're still doing a job. We still need money. Just because it takes us, however long to do something, or, oh, you think it's cheaper than paying like a Hollywood actor or something like that to do work. You need to understand that things take time, things take effort. For somebody, as a voice actor going into a booth, you're in there for maybe like at least like an hour or two minimum. And say you were only in there for like an hour or two and your pay rate was, $30 an hour, $60 an hour. Like, that's fine if you were in any other job, but because you're only working those hours, and it's not a guaranteed 40-hour work week, that's when it becomes a problem. You are not getting paid for the amount of work and time you have to put into it, because for some of those voice actors, I know I've heard their stories, they still need to get down to the studio, they still need to like get ready, they have to do all this prep to make sure the voice is in like, whatever condition it needs to be. It's a lot of work, and they need to be compensated for that work. That is what we're trying to say, and what most people are trying to say with a lot of these movements and everything. It's just, especially in the economy we are in now, where like, stuff's getting inflated, like stuff's starting costing more money. It's just, we need to be paying people more, especially when you have the money to do it. Just pay your employees. That's all we're asking for.
That's true.
And with that, I will say, unless Lana, do you have anything that you would like to add?
I think everything's been said. I've seen a lot of tweets online. I didn't know about this until like the second you brought it up to me. Like I was literally reading my first tweet about it as you were asking me if we should cover it in the show, and that was such a crazy coincidence to me. So I went and did my homework. There's a lot of prolific people who are talking about that. Is prolific the right one? The famous one? Yeah,
prolific's the right word.
Prolific people in the business right now who are talking about it and also streaming a Danganronpa live dub at the same time. It looks like people do care about this, which means that maybe something will be done, and the people who weren't compensated properly will get what they're owed.
I am hoping, again, as someone that wants to break into this industry and loves this art form, I want people to be paid what they are worth and not to be taken advantage of.
For sure. Remember, bullying does work, by the way. Everyone.
Hey, we bullied the Sonic movie into getting a better design. Bullying does work. It's been proven.
We got so many people back from bullying. Totally not Mark. Bullying. We're bullies. We do it. Come on, guys. All right. Well, glad to do this with you guys again, and we'll see everyone next week, right?
Yep.
Wait, what?
For the next show, the next episode.
Yeah.
I
have to do another one of these?
Yeah.
Yeah. Every week.
Yeah, you told me.
And then the next week.
So we're in this together.
The next week. We're doing this.
Can you tell the powers that be that we want another one?
Okay.
I want you to watch episodes 4, 5, and 6 of Jujutsu Kaisen.
I want to watch episodes 4, 5, and 6 of Jujutsu Kaisen.
Yeah, Kai's watched episodes 1, 2, and 3 times.
Yeah. So no, now I need to know what happens next.
Well, we'll have to find out next time. But I want to say, again, thank you all so much for if you somehow made it here. I always really appreciate it. If you like what you're hearing, what you're seeing, feel free to subscribe to the channel, follow us on Spotify and all that nonsense. If you're interested in any of the stuff that we do, obviously you can follow me on Twitter at RedMufflerMan, as well as on Twitch and YouTube at RedMufflerMan. Kai, if you would like to plug yourself here.
Yeah, you can follow me at Cable Art on Twitter. That's where I do most of my stuff. Not really anywhere else. And Lana?
You can. My Twitter will be in the description.
Well,
all right.
There you go.
That is true. You will have access to all of our social medias in the description.
Yeah.
But at this point, it is currently 2 a.m. and I have a hopefully 2-ish hour podcast to edit together over the next day. But thank you all so much for hanging out with us. Thank you, Lana. Thank you, Kai, for hanging out with me and making this a good time as always.
Yeah, it's always fun.
Of course, man.
All right, but with that, I am going to hit the buttons. So have a good night, everybody. Take it easy.
See ya.
Good night.